One thing which people may not know about Britain, even if they've lived here for many years, is that we're unusually passionate about archaeology. Amateur metal detecting is a big thing in the countryside, and the success of long-running shows like Time Team have contributed to inspiring plenty of hobbyists to roam the wet and windy fields in search of buried treasure. Arr. Thanks to their efforts, we have a relatively high-resolution understanding of the history of Britain and the artifacts and culture of the multiple civilizations who have lived here. Most finds are small-scale, but one allure of the English countryside is that there could be a whole Roman mansion or a Saxon burial mound right underneath your feet, and you would never know. Which I think is pretty cool. Have you ever got involved in archaeology or metal detecting or anything like that?
I've been with people who have done it, and it gives you a sense of good fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when you think I might find some Roman coins or something.
Right, exactly. It's the quintessential sort of boffin activity as well, I think. So I'm just going to take, in this segment, I'm going to take you through a load of recent finds and some really impressive finds of British archaeology, which has really told us a lot about this country and which have just been mostly done by ordinary people like you and I. So first of all, it's fun for all of the families, we can see from this article. English teenager discovers hoard of 3,300-year-old axes. It's pretty cool. After finding axe fragments dating as far back as 1300 BC, the discovery was handed over to archaeologists who uncovered around 200 items. These include incomplete artifacts such as socketed axe heads, winged axe heads, cake ingots, and blade fragments, all of which are made of copper alloy. Millie said, "We were on a dig and we were told everything was on the left side of the field. We went around for a bit and we found nothing. We went back to the van for lunch and then me and my dad went to the right side of the field and I found a signal and told my dad to come over. They started to dig and unearthed the first axe fragment, but at first couldn't believe what they had found." Millie said, "I was shocked. My dad started digging and held the first one out. He was laughing and joking and saying, 'This could be an axe.'" This is really wholesome, isn't it? And there we have a picture of the axe heads. They don't look too remarkable, but 3,300 years old. Bet they've seen some work. The finds aren't limited to 3,000-year-old axe heads, though. A couple of months ago, one of the biggest finds in British archaeology was made in Rutland. Have you seen this? It's the Roman mega mosaic.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so the mosaic was described last month by Historic England as one of the most remarkable and significant ever found in Britain. Let's go down to this one. So you can see it's really good quality there. You can see there's two people fighting on chariots, seen from the Trojan War, Achilles attacking Hector. If we scroll down to the next one.
Is this someone's floor from the ancient world?
So that's the whole thing that they uncovered. It's enormous. It's 11 meters by 7 meters, or 36 feet by 23 feet.
You don't see that anymore, do you? You ever walk into someone's house and find a mosaic on the floor, do you?
No, you don't. It's
bring
sad,
that back.
isn't it? Yeah, actually, that's worth thinking about. If you've got a couple of million to splash and you're watching our show and thinking, oh, how am I going to do my atrium today? Why not go for a mosaic?
Yeah, why not?
Exactly. So it has 3 panels showing a climactic moment from the Trojan War in which the Greek hero Achilles fights, kills, and then ransoms the body of his Trojan opponent Hector. Many of these floors have geometric patterns or portray one god or other, but there is no argument about this. The story is laid out almost like a cartoon, said Professor Roberts. We spoke to the foremost mosaic expert in the country, and he said it was the find of his lifetime. Nothing like it has been found in Britain for 100 years. We go down to the next one. She describes the commissioning of the piece as a big statement, particularly given the origins of the subject matter. And the next one. This is really interesting. 2 of the scenes have details not from the familiar account of the Trojan War, Homer's Iliad, but rather a lost version by the heavyweight Greek playwright Aeschylus. He was rather like the Shakespeare of ancient Greek writing, she said. Using this rather niche version of the story is rare in the Empire and unknown in Britain. It was a bit like someone wallpapering their best room with quotes from Hamlet. And as you can see there's a bloke there with the scales. He's got a big load of gold on one side and the dead body of Hector on the other. So presumably this is a scene from the lost epic of Aeschylus, which isn't in the normal Iliad. It's really interesting.
What's the gold about? Is he weighing how much Hector's worth?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Presumably he's like, well, I'll have his weight in gold then. And
okay.
Something like that. Now, Rutland in particular has been having a great time recently as far as archaeology is concerned. The so-called Rutland sea dragon is a almost complete ichthyosaur find, which was found in February but revealed on display last month. That's the size of it as well. You can see it's pretty colossal. The UK's largest, most complete skeleton of an ichthyosaur, an ocean-going reptile from the time of the dinosaurs, was found at Rutland Water and revealed to a fascinating public on Monday. The discovery made last February has been hailed as one of the greatest finds in British paleontological history. And let's just scroll down to see the size of this thing. That's where they were in the cold and wet outside, and that's when they've basically excavated it out. It's really spongy, apparently, and crumbly, so they had to be really careful to get it out. Whereas if it had fully fossilized, it would be more like stone, and they could lift out the bones properly. But Rutland does not have all of the fun. Just last month, a group of exceptionally preserved woolly mammoths were found near Swindon in Wiltshire, and not in a nightclub this time. So you have this exceptional mammoth graveyard discovered near Swindon. Experts who uncovered a 200,000-year-old mammoth graveyard say it is one of Britain's biggest Ice Age discoveries in recent years. Archaeologists found the remains of 5 animals, including 2 adults, 2 juveniles, and an infant, at a quarry near Swindon. The dig began after 2 keen fossil hunters spotted a Neanderthal hand axe. Officials from archaeological organisation Dig Ventures said that what they went on to find was exceptional. The remains belong to a species of steppe mammoth, an ancestor of the woolly mammoth. Close to the mammoth remains, the team also found a number of stone tools made by Neanderthals. It's really curious that they find the tools there as well. So they're going to go on to try and find if there are evidence that the woolly mammoths have been butchered by the Neanderthals whose tools they found. If they found that would just be amazing, like a little snapshot of prehistory. And let's not forget, of course, the constant trickle of artifacts uncovered by amateurs all over the country all the time. So if we go to the next one, this is a Norfolk Roman seal inscription. So there's like a gem used for imprinting wax seals and things. And there was an inscription on it in Latin which no one could decipher until some random guy from California had a look at it and did a bit of research and worked out that it was Latin for Psalm 27, Declina a malo. That's pretty cool. Then we have this one. So this was from a complete beginner. Norfolk treasure hunter went metal detecting. If we scroll down, not to her, but to the images of what she found some priceless gold Anglo-Saxon artifacts, including a scabbard mount, which should be the next one. Not bad for a day's work. Apparently they're worth about £25,000, those 2 things.
Pretty good day.
Yeah, 12,000. So the way that works is, I believe, half of it gets sold off. It gets given to a museum compulsorily, and you get half of the value. So that's £12,500 to the owner. But let's consider as well the biggest and the best finds. And if you want the biggest and the best in British history, you have to check out the British Museum. So they have a list of their top 10 here. We have to include the Ringlemere Cup, which they've put at number 1, if we scroll down. This was discovered in 2001. Just should be between those two. It's a golden vessel made between, maybe it's further down, made between 1700 and 1500 BC, and it was found by metal detectorists in the fields of Ringlemere Farm in the south of England. It's one of the it was that one, John, the crumpled one at the top. It's one of the oldest treasures ever discovered in Britain and is incredibly important due to its age and rarity. Only one other gold Bronze Age cup has been found in England. The vessel is now crumpled, as you can see there, probably as the result of a farmer's plough. It's kind of tragic. But it has a rounded base, which suggests it would have been held and passed around, perhaps like a modern communion cup. It's just the fact that it's so old. Like, it's, 3,700, 3,500 years old. Just a gold cup like that. That's pretty cool. But, of course, when you go metal detecting, one thing you find a lot of the time is coins. And lots of Roman coins have been found. How many Roman coins, can you guess, have been found?
Probably millions, actually.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Not quite so many. It's 320,000 Roman coins have been found by metal detectorists in Britain alone, which is quite a lot. And a lot of them are grots like this, so they're completely corroded. Some of them are gold and silver, but even if they're corroded, you can still learn a lot about the history, because each king mints them. They get minted constantly, and you get like a constant timeline of the history of Britain. And then finally, from this blog, I took the Staffordshire Moorlands pan, which is number 4 here, below the coin of Domitian. And this one here, so it's quite colourful. And this was actually made to celebrate Hadrian's Wall. It's got inscribed...
Wait, what?
I know, right?
We built the wall and the Scots had to pay for it. Hurrah! Like,
Pretty much. I mean, it was a huge architectural achievement, and they built this cup to celebrate it. Inscribed around the rim are the names of the 4 forts along the western end of the wall, a sequence which would have brought to mind endless marches along this route between the garrisons for the soldiers stationed there. One of them may have been Draco, the likely owner of this pan whose name is inscribed on it. This is a very pretty pan. It's got nice circular turquoise, blue and red signs on it. It's good stuff. But of course, let's think about proper treasure. And if we go to the next one, there are lots of hoards that have been discovered. This is the Watlington hoard, comprising about 200 coins, some of them fragmentary. If you just scroll to the side, there are lots of different pictures. 7 items of jewellery and 15 ingots, bars of silver. The find is not particularly large, but it is hugely significant because it contains so many coins of Alfred the Great, King of Wessex, who you must know about, and his less well-known contemporary, Ceolwulf II of Mercia. So Alfred was the guy who basically drove off the Vikings, as I understand, and unified England in a sense. The hoard contains 13 examples of the rare Two Emperors penny that shows Alfred and Ceolwulf seated side by side below a winged figure of victory or an angel. The image in the coin suggests an alliance between the kingdoms of Wessex and Mercia, which challenges the accounts found in written sources, which dismiss Ceolwulf as a puppet of the Vikings. So we've actually learned something really important about history from this. We've learned that there was an alliance between these two kings who, according to the sources, were enemies all the time. One of them was just a Viking puppet. The hoard can be dated by the presence of a single 2-line type penny, which was not produced until the late 870s after the Battle of Edington in May 878 between Alfred's forces and a Viking army. It is possible that the hoard was buried in the wake of this battle or during the ensuing movement of peoples. So a lot of the time, people, as they're running around, as their world is being turned upside down by invasion or famine or whatever it might be, they just stash their valuables somewhere where no one will find it, presumably intending to come back for it, or to tell their grandchildren to go back and dig it up and make money years later, and it never gets found until the modern day. Aren't we lucky? Another hoard is the Chew Valley hoard. And this is the largest Norman coin collection that's ever been uncovered. Found in 2019, it was buried in the west of England during the early years of William the Conqueror's rule, and its contents are divided between coins minted under Harold II, or Harold Godwinson, the last crowned Anglo-Saxon king, the guy who fought the Battle of Hastings, and the first issue of coinage under William, which is like the first of our kingdom of England, the Norman kingdom since the Battle of Hastings. The hoard has doubled the number of coins available to study for Harold and increased by 5 times those for William, opening up new windows of discovery for the late 1060s. And the last hoard I chucked in here is the Vale of York Viking hoard. We've had Saxon, we've had Norman, and now we've got Viking coins. The Vale of York hoard, also known as the Harrogate hoard, is a 10th century Viking hoard of 617 silver coins and 65 other items. It was found undisturbed in 2007 in the town of Harrogate in North Yorkshire, England. It was the largest Viking hoard discovered in Britain since the Quairdale hoard in 1840. So that's a good summary of the big archaeological finds that you might be able to do. But this section would be incomplete without mentioning the biggest archaeological finds of all time in England. So what do you reckon is going to be on this list? Absolutely, it's got to be Sutton Hoo. I mean, just look at that. It's amazing. I think that's the replica, yeah. But it's the detail on it and the craftsmanship is incredible. So this is a collection of 6th and 7th century burial sites discovered in 1938, including an undisturbed ship burial full of priceless Anglo-Saxon artifacts. It's now turned into a museum. I've been there. It's great fun. I think they used to have a little mock village as well, where people like dressed up in Saxon gear and doing Saxon things. Oh, it's awesome. Definitely recommend if you end up down Suffolk way. Then there's also Fishbourne Palace. This is a Roman villa complex. It was built in 75 AD and is the largest Roman dwelling north of the Alps. It's colossal. See those mosaics again? It's like what you were saying earlier. If you fancy a mosaic, maybe Fishbourne designs are more your thing. It's worth checking out. That was discovered in 1805. It's down there on the south coast. And finally, it's worth mentioning the Staffordshire hoard, the biggest hoard ever found. Look at all that gold. So this was deposited around 650 AD and discovered in 2009. It includes 5 kilograms of gold and 1.5 kilograms of silver. There are over 4,500 fragments of war gear and religious objects from the 7th century Anglo-Saxon period. So if you're in England and you're feeling a bit bored, then, or even if you're not in England, if you're in Europe or anywhere with a bit of history, why not head out into the fields with your metal detector and just see what you could find? You could be the next person to find a £25,000 Saxon scaffold belt.
If you enjoyed that section from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to subscribe to get access to all the premium content on the site, such as an oldie but a goldie, so I'd mention it again, which is the interview with Miles Routledge, otherwise known as Miles of Kabul, or That Mad Lad. And if you'd like to find out what else I'm up to, you can always follow me on Getter at Callum on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.